It's because they're out of money. It's because they've gone over budget, and the easiest thing in the world to shoot is one room with all your main characters, very few guest stars. It's contained, you set up for lighting once, and you better write some very kick-ass dialogue or it's going to be boring, you know? The thing that we laugh about in the Veronica Mars writing room is how can we do a murder mystery in an elevator car? Can we pull that off? Because that would be cheap. We could shoot it in 4 days. All of our overages for the year, we're caught up. The point I'm making is, you may see a hurricane episode. In which case, I think there's a very good possibility that there would be a Logan Wallace scene. I would love to see that. We need to see that. It's not many good reasons for them to be in the same scene together, but I would predict in season 3 you'll see quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, even though we haven't watched the episode, I was here last night, so I thought I'd like to echo the appreciation from last night and including old 97 music.
Oh, fantastic.
My question is that your last comment sort of a teaser into this. Even though there's so much more than just what happens at school on the show, a lot of shows focusing on teenagers kind of hit a rough patch or die when the characters graduate from high school, and so what would you do to sort of avoid having that be the trainer?
I think a lot of shows that feature teen characters that are about high school life, the high school is what drives the show. That's what's interesting about it. It's about your high school years. It's a coming-of-age drama. And so when they leave high school, they've sort of lost steam. Our show isn't driven by that. I mean, ours is sort of a noir mystery show with a detective show built in. And so I think that we'll be fine. I'm not nervous about it at all. The other reason I think that shows have failed when they've moved their main characters to college is because they played them in high school for 5 years, and the show is on its last creative legs anyway. One of the things that I wanted to do with Veronica Mars is play year 1 is their junior year, year 2 is their senior year, year 3 is their freshman year in college, and actually play the reality of that instead of trying to, get Kristen Bell at 35 graduating from high school. God, that would... Except, can you imagine the syndication money? Oh, wait, I'm the one who owns the piece of it.
I'm the one who'll be turning 35.
I'll be 90. Yes?
You brought a lot of people over from Buffy and the Buffy creator, and you're interested in music, and obviously Kristen Bell has a good singing voice. Are you thinking about creating some sort of bizarre Keith Mars musical album? Her college years or something? Is she going to sing again?
Right. We wondered when we were going to do our Jump the Shark episode. And I don't mean that about Buffy. I do not mean that about Buffy at all. I never saw their musical episode. We were laughing about it one day very early in season 1, and I looked around to the boys in the room and said, do you sing? Do you sing? Do you sing? Do you sing? And they all said no. Thus ended the idea of doing it. Hey, and he said no at the time, and I was shocked when he did that version of Papa Heroic Story. I loved that moment. I think we'll have. I think there are no plans to have Kristen/Veronica sing again, but it's not because we're avoiding it. It'll just have to occur more organically than it did the first time. We sort of did a backflip to get Kristen to sing the first time. The next time there'll be a better...
It'll probably another shower scene or something.
Now, shower scenes we're trying to get in every week. All right, next, yes.
This is, I guess, mostly a question for Rob, although a little bit for Jason. You've mentioned that you read the boards, if you will, and then in your recent interview you talked about how you let some of the fan feedback sort of influence your performance, and then tonight you mentioned that the Logan-Veronica relationship sprang from the chemistry that you saw between them. So I guess maybe talk a little bit about what the relationship between fan feedback and the show is, or things that you see between the actors and how that becomes things that weren't planned from the start.
Okay. The question is how do the postings on Television Without Pity and the other websites affect what we're writing or how we plan the show? And I gave an answer to this last night. Typically, there are two boards that I read. One is the night an episode airs. I want to know what the response to that episode is. And generally, and I angered the room last night, I read the East Coast feed because it airs first, and I get those, and then I watch it when it airs on the West Coast. So, but I do plug in. I generally, if you want to say something to me in the first 20 pages, that's probably where I am. And the interesting thing is, generally speaking, I know what the reaction is going to be, and I'm usually pretty on. We know when it's a great episode. We know when it's an average episode. Sometimes it surprises me. I know this year, I loved episode 8, and it got sort of a universal, this is a pretty good filler episode. And honestly, it was one of I loved 8. I dug 8. It was the...
that was the one where you got shot.
It was the episode with the Fitzpatricks. It was the episode with... It was the episode where the Russian roulette with Logan's kneecap. But that was sort of it's a good filler episode, but sort of the mass reaction. I mentioned this last night as well. My friend and producer Dan Etheridge once described reading the boards as being hit with a tidal wave of love interspersed with a million paper cuts. And what registers with me is the things that a huge group of people are saying. I try not to let every single solo comment, but if a number of people are saying the same thing, I know we may need to pay attention to that. This year in particular, and I think there's a comment that really resonated with me this year that I read a number of times, and eventually, and I sort of agreed with it, and I hadn't thought hard enough about this. And the comment was that Veronica has felt, I don't know if passive is the word, less involved certainly with the bus crash story than she was with the Lily Kane murder investigation. And I started looking back at the episodes, and I thought, yeah, she's not investigating that as dutifully as she did last year. And so in the last few episodes, I certainly made it a point to have Veronica saying, okay, I'm diving into that. I need to find that out. And I think a lot of it has been because we were focusing, and we certainly do this a little more earlier in the year, on the mystery of the week. And then there's sometimes when I get a mass reaction that I ignore because I feel differently. And I remember when Deputy Leo first came on, there was a huge reaction against Deputy Leo. Now I think, I sort of rationalized it. I think it's because, look back in the first episodes when they started flirting. You all did not like Deputy Leo. But I honestly think it was because it wasn't Logan, it wasn't Duncan, it wasn't one of our characters, and it's like, Deputy Leo is going to delay our gratification. Get him off it. But I love the actor. I loved his performance on the show. So I didn't look at the boards and write him out of the show. We kept him going.
I think Veronica should be able to have as many boyfriends as